You know, with that massive 2026 regulation change just around the corner, every F1 team is buried in thousands of lines of text. But this isn't just some boring legal document. No way. This is the secret blueprint for victory. It's the very DNA of a championship-winning car. So let's break this thing down and find out why the single most powerful component in Formula One isn't even on the car. It's the paper and ink that brings it to life.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dive into what makes this rulebook F1's secret weapon. Then, we'll figure out who really holds the power. After that, it's all about the clever cat-and-mouse game of innovation. Then we'll look at the ultimate safety net that protects the drivers. And finally, we'll see how the sport literally tries to predict the future.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, F1's secret rulebook, or, as I like to think of it, the blueprint for victory.
So let me start by asking you a question. Just think about it for a second. Forget the incredible engines, the mind-bending aerodynamics, even the superhuman drivers. What is the single most powerful component in a Formula One car?
The answer? It might not be what you think. It's this document right here, the regulations. Why? Because every single piece on that car, from the tip of the nose cone to the edge of the rear wing, is just a physical interpretation of these words. The team that understands this text, that interprets it and innovates within it better than anyone else, well, that's the team that wins. It's really as simple as that. So if the rulebook is the blueprint, then who are the architects? Let's take a look at who's really in charge and how the rule of law actually works in Formula One.
The structure is actually super clear, almost like a government. At the very top, you've got the FIA. They organize and govern the entire championship. Their main tool of power? The regulations. This is the official law of the sport, period. And down at the bottom, you have the competitors, the teams, who are kind of like the citizens. They have to follow that law at all times.
But this law isn't just one single book. As Article 1.2.1 lays out, it's actually built on 4 pillars. You've got the big one, the International Sporting Code, that covers all motorsport. Then you get specific, the technical regulations for the car itself, the sporting regulations for how a race weekend actually runs, and of course, the big one these days, the financial regulations, the cost cap. They all work together to create the entire legal framework for F1. And this brings us to one of the most fascinating parts of Formula One, exploiting the gray areas. This is that constant, brilliant cat-and-mouse game of innovation. So think about this. You have a multi-billion-dollar sport that all hinges on how you interpret words on a page. What happens when those words are a little fuzzy? How do teams find a legal advantage that nobody else has seen? How do they innovate right on the very edge of what's allowed without, cheating?
Well, believe it or not, there's a formal process for that, and it's laid out right here in Article 1.5. It's basically a direct hotline to the rulemakers. And this exact process has led to some of the most legendary championship-winning ideas in F1 history, like Braun GP's double diffuser back in 2009. Just a genius reading of the rules that caught everyone else completely off guard.
But here's the catch. You can't be coy about it. The rules demand total transparency. Teams have to submit everything. A full description, detailed drawings, what they think it'll do to the car now and in the future, and they have to spell out exactly how it's going to make them faster. The bottom line is, you can ask for a ruling, but you've got to show all your cards to do it.
Now, while teams are always pushing the limits of performance, there is one area where there are absolutely zero gray areas, and that's driver safety. This is the ultimate non-negotiable safety net.
And right here, you can see the core power dynamic of F1 in black and white. On one side, Article 1.7 says it's the team's job to prove their car is legal. But on the other side, Article 1.4 gives the FIA's race stewards the ultimate trump card. They can ban any car anytime if they think it's dangerous.
And make no mistake, this power is absolute. The rulebook says it can be used with immediate effect. That means in the middle of a practice session, during qualifying, even on the grid right before the lights go out. If the stewards decide a car is unsafe, it's out. End of story.
So how do teams prove their car is both legal and safe? Well, Article 1.7 spells it out. The FIA can physically inspect every piece of hardware. They can dig into the software, the data logs, anything electronic. They can even demand a team's top-secret CAD models. But notice that last point. It's super important. You can't use software to hide a mechanical part that's illegal. At the end of the day, every physical component has to pass a physical inspection. All right, this brings us to our final section, and it's a big one. What happens when a team is so clever they invent something the rule makers never even dreamed of? This is all about controlling the future and taming technology that nobody saw coming.
So Article 1.6 lays out this really fascinating process. Imagine a team shows up with a brilliant new piece of tech that's totally legal, but also completely unexpected. Think about Mercedes' Wild DAS steering system from 2020. The rules say they can use it, but only for that one season. Then, at the end of the year, the F1 Commission gets together, reviews its impact, and decides its fate for good.
What this really is a safety valve for the sport itself. It's smart, right? It encourages teams to be innovative because they can get a big advantage for a whole season. But it also makes sure that no single invention can completely break the competition or derail the long-term vision for F1 without a proper review.
So let's pull all this together. What have we learned? Well, the rulebook isn't just a set of instructions, it's a living document that's always evolving. It sets up a clear power structure and even a process for handling the gray areas. It makes it crystal clear that safety is priority number one, no exceptions. And ultimately, its entire purpose is to manage a very delicate balance.
A balance between these three massive forces. You've got the raw head-to-head competition, you've got non-negotiable driver safety, and you've got that relentless push for technological innovation. The regulations are the tool the FIA uses to constantly fine-tune things, because if you push one of these elements too far, the other two can get thrown completely out of whack. Which leaves us with one final thought, as we look ahead to the massive shakeup coming in 2026. Yeah, the teams that master the new physics and the new engines will be fast for sure. But the team that truly masters the language and the loopholes of this document first, they just might be unstoppable. So the real question is, will the next World Championship be won on the track, or was it already won deep inside the pages of the rulebook?